but yeah, we be going about dating the wrong way. We like Hey y'all, it's Shawana Stevens with the Well Network, and this is the Lifin Podcast, because you know life be lifing. Hey y'all. Hey y'all, it's Shawana Stevens with the Lifin Podcast. Hey y'all. Hey y'all, it's Shawana Stevens with the Lifin Podcast, and today, as I've stated in other episodes this month, I want to feature topics that have to do with love in the love month. So today, I'm actually talking about male abuse in relationships. So I've actually been watching social media for maybe the past year, and over a course of time I've actually seen such topics or such examples of male abuse. I've seen I think there was like a really viral TikTok about this girl stalking a guy. I've seen just a lot of abusive situations, and women were on the other side of it, not the ones receiving the abuse but actually giving the abuse. So this month I actually want to highlight that in this episode. And reason being because I think a lot of times as women, we want certain results, but we don't actually get those results because we don't understand how abusive we can be. And sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's passive, but in other times it's really blatant. And so I want to actually highlight those things. The first thing I want to talk about is actually the stalking. Yeah, y'all tripping. At what point did we as females take it to the place of stalking? There is not a man on this earth that is that good that I will stalk them. And it has nothing to do with the person. It has everything to do with what I think about myself. And so I want to talk about the fact that if we are as valuable as we are, we've been hearing songs about it for a very long time, but if we are who we say we are, then we have to think enough about ourselves not to stalk someone. If somebody don't want you, we ain't in the business of trying to keep nobody that don't want to be kept. And so I think that's important for us to understand. So that actually brings to mind a time in my life where I was dating someone and we called it quits. And in that particular time, I wasn't ready for the relationship to end. But as that was happening, I was really irritated at the fact that the relationship wasn't going to work, and I didn't take a part in the separation. The one and only time that I didn't take part in the separation. But in that particular situation, I remember wanting to find out where this person was because I couldn't find them. And so I was moving into a space that could seem a little stalkerish. I remember going to lengths of trying to see if they were at work and things of that nature. But what I'm actually seeing now, and not saying that there's something wrong with trying to make sure that the person is okay and that kind of stuff. But what I remembered was I was starting to get a little obsessed in that. And that's where I want to make sure that I land. I think that we should make sure that we are healthy enough in our mindsets that when people decide to move on, that we're okay with their decision, even if it's not something that we desire. And I've seen these situations go as far as people putting trackers on cars and things of that nature. And one of the things that my dad always taught me, even as I was growing up, is to know your worth, to know your value. And some of the things that he would tell me is, and I think that it's so important for men to have a place in their daughters' lives, because it's one thing that I can absolutely say about my dad. He would always tell me how beautiful I was. He would always tell me how great I was. And so when it came down to relationships, I don't think I valued relationships enough to go that route, if it makes sense. I always thought I was the prize. Now, that's not sounding cocky or anything like that, but I just want us to understand as women, um, that when it's over, know enough to know that if that isn't the right person, then there's someone else that is. And I want to make sure that we know that. But the other side of that is from the male perspective. Um, I think we have to look at dating in the sense, and this is something that my dad taught me as well. When a man is looking for someone, when a man is looking for a mate, he's trying to go through the person that is right for him. Now, a lot of times we look at it as, oh, men are dogs. And yeah, there are some that are. But the healthy side of that is that man is just finding the right person for him. And I think if we take the mindset or if we take that perspective, it makes it easier for us to date. So, getting into the space of being too obsessed, I want us to understand that when we find ourselves in that place, and when I talk about obsessed, I'm talking about you're always thinking about it. Now, I know when we go through things, we can spend too much time thinking about a situation just because it's fresh or just because it's something that is hurtful. But I want us to make sure that we get to the place where we occupy our mind healthy in a healthy way. And so a lot of us, and this is always going to be my mindset, when we get in relationships, we dive all the way in. Not only do we dive all the way in, but we don't allow other things to be in our mind, be in our world. We just dive headfirst in that relationship and it begins to consume our lives. That's what brings on that obsession. And so I want to say to you, men and women, when you get in a relationship, don't give that person all your time. Try to be healthy and balanced in the way that you relate with a person. We be trying to give one person all our time. I ain't trying to tell you be too loose out here in these streets, but what I am trying to say is date with the understanding that you're trying to get to know people so that you can find the right person for you. And then when you come in the game knowing that you're not stuck on one person, it doesn't make it so hard to be able to make the necessary adjustments when it's time. And so that's what I'm talking about when it's time to separate. You got to make the right adjustments. When you see those red flags and things like that, you're able to make the right adjustments. So don't dive head first, and it won't cloud your mind. One of the things that I think we have to recognize, and I'm not talking about the saints, but I'm talking about in general, we lay down too fast. And when we lay down too fast, we can't see good. So I want us to keep all of those things in mind. That's what causes that stalking and the abuse part of it. Females, I really want us to not move in the space of being so aggressive with our attitudes too. I think a lot of times we're not able to communicate effectively. And so then we start saying hurtful things. And I ain't trying to say men are fragile, but sometimes and so we got to be careful what we say. And to the men, I'm trying to help you out. So say less and let me do the work on the backside. That's really all I have to say. I want us to stop tripping. Females, we are tripping. We are doing way too much. And we got to recognize and trust God enough to know that when the right person is for us, we will know it. But then in addition to that, it will work together well, and we don't have to step outside of who we really are to make it work. That's all I got for you. Stay up. I love y'all. Happy Love Month.